And welcome to my guide on solo Ulm. I was requested by a few guildmates. I do, however, think that there are a lot of already good guides made by other users. I will link one in the description that I thought was the best made. It's already pretty popular, so you might have seen it. The only difference with my guide is that it's going to be with like a little bit less of a gear setup, so hopefully you can learn something from that as well. Yeah, I'll basically go over all the basics and show you how to do Ulm. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that I will be using my overload and my prayer enhance right now before clicking on the well so that I basically start to fight with full HP and full prayer and full special attack. So there we go. And as you can see, I start with my Dragon Warhammer. A BGS is just fine as well. There's an active discussion on whether or not the BGS works. I believe it does. Some people don't. Anyways, you want to protect from magic and piety when going in. So you spec the melee hand. As you can see, I missed my spec, so I'm actually specking again. That's not ideal, but it works out. Then you'll see me switch over to my magic gear. And as you can see, I marked the tiles that I like to run on my screen. So basically all you do is you run between those two tiles and you just, in the first phase, you kill the mage hand first. So as you can see, all I'm doing is I'm attacking, and then when the head starts looking towards me, I run towards the other tile. Now I have the red special under me, so basically what I do is I walk in a square on the marked tiles, and that way I dodge all of the damage pretty much. Obviously you can take some damage, but as you can see, I'm also praying protect from melee during the whole fight once the head turns to one side, so that you don't get hit by the magic attacks. The reason for this is that the special, the red special you just saw, it deals physical damage, so you'll want to protect from melee. There were the amethysts under me, so I just move one tile away from it, and that's pretty much it. Now, this is pretty straightforward, and it's honestly just a repeat of doing this simple mechanic throughout the whole fight. The melee hand is a little bit more difficult because you have to run further, unless you have a T-bow, in which case you can T-bow the hand, but for that you can always check out the other guide that was made, the other guide. Anyways, as you can see, the mage hand is about to die. So in the first phase you can just kill off the mage hand and it'll be totally fine. The reason you do this is so that the melee hand actually stops from crippling, and that way you can just get free damage on it, because while the mage hand is alive, you'll see that the melee hand is actually crippling most of the time, or like after every few hits, which is really annoying. You'll see that in the second phase. But basically, I'm just using my melee gear and I'm just attacking. You can get 2 hits in if you're tick perfect, but if there are like special attacks coming or so, it's better that you dodge the special attacks rather than actually hitting. So right here, I started from a little bit further away, so I could only get 1 hit in, as you could see. And basically, this is just the melee hand. It's not that bad. Right there, I ran a little bit too early. The reason why I could have gotten more hits in is because he used his special, which was the acid on the floor as well as the amethyst. But it's better to just dodge the specials and be safe. As you can see, I haven't used any food so far. I will, however, use some food on the second phase because I am not that great of a PVMer. I only made this guide because I wanted to show people that solo Ulm is doable with like the new update, and that it's not too difficult at all. All you have to do is like get used to the special attacks and get used to running the head, and you'll be totally fine. So yeah, let me just kill off the melee hand, I guess. I am using a rapier, but if you're using like a tentacle whip, that should also be totally fine. I've seen people do this with like an Iban's staff and a normal whip, so you honestly don't need the best gear. The only difference is going to be that this is going to be faster. So now I have the red special again. You can see me running again on the tiles that I have marked, which is with the Runelight plugin, and then you just shift click him and mark him. That's probably the best thing you can do. There I actually used some food. Now I'll be running between those tiles and I will have to kill the melee hand relatively soon. Generally, if you're using this setup, I kind of take the time of like 1 overload dose to kill, with the switching between phases afterwards. Roughly, sometimes you get lucky on your hits and it goes a little bit faster, sometimes you don't and it takes longer. Anyways, that was the first phase done. Now I equip my Warhammer and I'm gonna stand in a corner so that I evade most of the boulders coming from the sky. Something else to keep in mind is that the boulders falling also deal physical damage, so you'll want to protect from melee on those. I will, however, switch to protect from magic once the new phase starts, simply because his head is not looking towards one direction. As you can see, it's actually in the center right now. Now, the difference between the first and the second phase when soloing is that in the second phase you need to kill both hands at the same time. So as you can see, while the head remains in the middle, I will be protecting from magic. Now the head is turning one side, I turn on my protect from melee, because you should theoretically not be taking magic damage at all as long as you do things correctly. Now you can see what I was referring to, the melee hand actually crippled. You can see it by him pulling his fingers like inwards a little bit. I did accidentally like mess up and put the head back in the center, so that's why I've turned on my protect from magic. Anyways, that was the hand uncrippling, so I will switch back to the melee hand. Basically, the idea is in the second phase that you attack the melee hand at every possible time while it's uncrippled and not healing, so that you can get the maximum amount of damage, because usually the mage hand is pretty much free, like you don't take too much time dealing damage to it, like it'll go down relatively fast. Here you can actually see me messing up quite a bit. I thought the head would turn. I would recommend not trying to predict when the head is going to move, like yes it's 2 attacks, but if he does a special it can be later and you'll get hit by a magic attack. So generally it's just not a good idea. Now here you can see that he's actually healing and I'm expecting him to cripple soon, as you can see, which is why I switched over to my magic gear and I started attacking the magic hand. This is, I would say, it's still a very easy phase, but it's definitely trickier than the first one, simply because you have to kill both hands at the same time. But because you already did the first phase, which was generally pretty easy, I feel like you should have the head running down by now, especially if you did this a few times. A few other things I would like to mention while I just continue what I'm doing is that if there's any more content you would like me to post or like any more guides, you can always ask me and I'll try to cover it if I know how to do it properly and I feel like I'm knowledgeable enough to make a guide on it. Other than that, yeah, I hope you enjoy this. This is my first video on the RSPS. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And yeah, if you see me in game and you want to learn how to do raids or you want me to go over some rooms with you, you can always like message me in game on Ghost to Hunt, and I will probably reply to you if I'm not in a raid. And I don't mind taking people for learner raids, like doing a duo or so. I really don't mind. What I would prefer you to have is voice chat, or at least being able to listen in voice chat, so that I don't have to type out every room. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, as you can see, I'm still doing the same thing, running between the two tiles. The mage hand is actually getting pretty low, as you can see. So I am going to leave that alone for now, and I'm actually only going to focus on the melee hand for now. So I am going to be attacking the melee hand. I'm not even going to touch the magic hand, because if I happen to kill it now, I will only have like 15-ish seconds or 20 seconds to kill the melee hand, and if I do not kill it within that time frame, it will reset. So here I took some unnecessary damage because my prayer got turned off. Yeah, this is pretty much the entire Olm fight. The last phase, which is called the head phase, is, in my opinion, pretty easy if you have a DHCB or a T-bow. But it can also be done with just a blowpipe. It's just gonna take a little bit longer, which could screw you over if you're not comfortable with it, because you do take more damage in that phase, I feel like, than you take in the first two phases. Now, this is not true if you're already like a little bit more comfortable with the head running, but if you're new, I feel, or at least with the people I taught, I saw a lot of people struggle with the head phase. But yeah, we'll go over that in a second once we get there. Basically, I'll already tell you that the idea with the head phase is that you'll want to use your range gear. So for me, that's going to be my Void Range Helm, my Assembler, and my DHCB. And I will turn on Rigor or Eagle Eye if you don't have Rigor. And basically, you'll want to attack the head, and you will want to keep your protect from melee up at all times unless he summons one of the pools. If he summons a pool and you cannot get to it, you will want to turn on your protect from magic till the pool disappears, as the pool actually deals magic damage. Now, I will also try to get a written guide in the forum post that I'm making on this. As you can see, that those are the pools. They heal Ulm if they happen to disappear without you standing on them, and they deal magic damage. So right there I got it, and I didn't have to switch to protect from magic, but that was only because it's the beginning of the phase. So now a last thing to keep in mind is I'm not healing right here because my overload is running out soon. And my overload heals me for 50 HP. So here I'm just going to make sure I eat up a little bit, simply because there was actually going to be a pool, and I didn't want to take too much damage from the pool. Anyways, so now there's the red special, I'm just running. I am going to be overloading very soon, and then you'll just see me eat up. The most important thing I can do here, because there happens to be a pool at the same time, is just make sure I don't die, because if you die you lose points, and yes, you do lose less points if you're a donator, like the higher your donator rank, but it's still never worth dying, so rather lose some DPS and make sure you stay alive. And yeah, now you can just see me continuing to hit the mage, to hit the head phase. This pool was very close by, so I could just stand on it. Anyways, this is very shortly going to be the Ulm kill. So yeah, my advice would be just keep eating up. You don't need too many resources to do this, and just keep running the head and you'll probably be fine. So that was the Ulm kill. I hope this was somewhat informative and that you learned something. And if you have any troubles, please do let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.